welcome to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell. We have another exciting episode. As you know, we bring you stories about family businesses, really some amazing stories about family businesses, but we also like to, every now and then, bring someone who provides tremendous value to family businesses with insights that most family businesses don't have and don't know. I'm here with Aaron Andrews from Telecommunications. Welcome, my friend.
Good to see you, Dale.
And you are a digital transformation strategist. What is that?
So what I do is I help people step into the cloud. You know, organizations, enterprises that really have questions around their technology on a daily basis.
Excellent. And so we're in a time now that we're dealing with cybersecurity. We're dealing with new ways to communicate. We're dealing with all sorts of platforms that connect people around the world. Why is it important now for family businesses to understand and maximize this technology?
Well, the reason it's important to understand and maximize this technology, if you don't grasp it and pay attention to what's going on in your digital environment, you won't have a business to run. It's as simple as that.
And there's some real life, and we'll get to that a little later, some real life stories about that. But let me hear about your background. How did you get into this? How did you become a digital transformation strategist?
I'm glad you asked that question. So I've been a technology salesperson for about 17 years, going on 18 years here. My career started in cellular sales in the retail environment and worked my way up over the past few years in the sectors of cybersecurity, network architecture, connectivity, things of that nature for giants such as Verizon, Dutch Telecom, our CN business, and now I find myself at the largest master agency on the East Coast, Telecommunications.
So say a little more about Chorus. How long has Chorus been around, and what is their focus?
Oh my goodness, so Chorus has been around for 25 years. They are like the general contractor of technology, so all of your technology needs can be met through Chorus Communications.
And so what are some of the technology needs that family business might have, other than just picking up the phone and answering the phone and having a computer? That's what most family businesses think about, but what more is there to it?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. So typically folks think of their telephony or technology as voice and internet services, and it's really expanded to much more than that. You have data center environments, you have cybersecurity, you have end-to-end connectivity being darker lit fiber optic services. It really stretches a breadth of compliance now, especially in the healthcare and financial sector. So there's a lot more to be aware of than just your traditional voice and internet services.
So now, and there's so many of these new terms. I always hear, like dark, you just mentioned dark and light, so if I'm a family business and I'm really thinking about, okay, I have an old phone system, I want to transform my new system, I have 50 employees, and that's what people don't realize. They think of family businesses as just the mom and pop, but they're billion-dollar family businesses, with thousands of employees. In fact, many of my clients are. I'm dealing with one now in Chinatown who has 400 employees. Wow. And really, is really no kind of telecommunications plan. So how do you deal with that? What's the first thing they should do?
Sure. Well, we love folks that don't know anything about technology. Other folks have to be concerned about running their business on a daily basis. So they have folks like me. We come in and we have a conversation, just like you and I are having now, about your environment, about what your goals are. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? What have some of the pitfalls been in the past in you using technology? What are you concerned about? Really getting a full picture of your business and your environment and your culture. It's more than just coming in and being a transactional salesperson. It's creating a relationship so we can have a bond that goes on 10, 20 years, to really assist you with your technology down the road.
So talk about the culture of them. What are some of the different cultures of the businesses you've worked with? How can that vary among the different businesses, and how does technology play a role with that?
Sure. So typically focusing with the healthcare and financial folks, it ranges from compliance, in the financial and healthcare space, you have HIPAA. In the healthcare, with the financial space, you have fintech and things of that nature that they have to adhere to. So really it's addressing what your needs are, because everyone is different and unique. Gone are the days where someone comes in as a technology salesperson and says, hey, let me help you with your voice and internet services. There's so much complexity as far as, okay, you're a financial firm, you have these compliances to be aware of, and things pop up every day that sometimes folks aren't aware of. So they need help to overcome those hurdles with someone like myself.
So one of the realities is that telecommunication services relate to your payments. I mean, basically, how people are purchasing.
Sure, PCI
You know,
compliance.
it's not this separate cash machine that you have now. It's all tied in. So, and I think that I don't think a lot of people really understand that every aspect of your business is tied into telecommunications in some way in this day and age, and that if you are a family business, 30, 40-year-old family business, you've got to change because technology is changing rapidly.
Sure. And saying you've got to change. So some folks don't know where to start.
Right,
They don't know how to change. We are the SMEs, the subject matter experts in the specific fields as far as compliance, technology, regulation. We have the high-level relationships with organizations, again, 25 years plus, to really right fit a solution that'll help you stay on track, stay on budget, and stay protected in the cyber and digital environments that we work in.
So if I wanted so I'm a family business, we see this show and they say, I want to learn more about this. What's the first step that you do? If you, because you're really, you and, and the firm and others have become more like consultants. You're really not a salesperson, you're really a consultant to really help them improve their efficiency in a cost-effective way.
Sure.
So what would be the first, break it down in real simple terms, what would be the first thing you would ask from them if you sat with them?
The first thing would be to give us a phone call or check out our website. They can reach us at www.choruscommunications.com, or they can reach me directly at my phone number at 484-772-6043.
But if they're sitting with you, what would you do? What would you ask? What kind of questions would you ask them to find out more about their business and how you can help them? What are some of the questions you would ask them?
Well, really, the first question that I ask everyone is, tell me what you don't like about your business. And you start there, because things that you do like, we're creatures of habit. We can fix things that we like. We're always going to improve what we like. What we don't like, picking the negatives, our flaws out of ourselves is kind of difficult. So let's start there and then work back to the things that are doing well already.
So when you want to, because I want to kind of get it down to the basic level for a business. So what are some of the things people might say that they don't like about the business?
Well, when you start talking about digital transformation strategies, it's a pattern. So the first thing you need to decipher, are you in a fixed or growth pattern with your organization or your business?
Okay.
Once you decipher what kind of pattern you're in, you can take small steps. You don't want to get involved in taking giant leaps to the cloud, as folks say. Small steps so you implement the right plan the right way, and it actually stays for a very long time.
So I do a lot of lectures. I'm a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I run the Rothman Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and I've done a series of lectures that I call the Entrepreneurial Mindset. And just because you have a family business, it doesn't mean that everybody has the entrepreneurial mindset, as opposed to the incremental mindset. And so, if correct me if I'm wrong. So when you say fixed and growth, or fixed or growth, someone who's basically says, well, I'm not looking to grow that much. And everybody thinks every business wants to grow, but not every business does.
Correct.
But in this day and age, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. So if you sit with a family business and you see that, well, we're doing okay, but I don't know what to do. Is that really what you're talking about? That fixed versus kind of growth mindset that we really want to grow our business?
Correct. So if you're in a fixed pattern, you're content with where you are, business is doing well, and that's fine. But be aware of what's coming ahead with someone like myself, educating you along the way. And if you do decide to take part in one of those new pieces of technology, you have a roadmap and an expert with you to direct you on how to best navigate that, so you can stay producing high levels of revenue for your organization or for your business.
So I say, okay, I'm a growth mindset. I've been stagnant. I've had a retail store in the downtown district. Or actually I have multiple retail stores. So I have 60 employees. I know, a lot of it is, especially with the bigger companies, is especially more valuable for them to do this. And we've had we switched to the voice over IP 10 years ago. What's different about technology today? How could my company benefit from that? What's the difference now?
Well,
Why does it matter?
the biggest difference today is that there's a much larger focus on compliance. If you're taking payments, you're part of the PCI compliance world.
Okay.
If you're in the healthcare,
so PCI, what do you mean by that? What's PCI compliance? What is that?
That's the compliance for taking and processing credit card information.
So any credit card, so any credit card, there's compliance about that. See, the reason I want to kind of bring it down is because so many family businesses, like you know so much about what's going on. They don't. They're working
Yep.
every day. They're
Yep.
trying to survive. They're trying to pay their bills. They get these onerous regulations from Trenton and Washington,
Sure.
and so they're overwhelmed. I think most of the viewers don't even really realize that regulations have changed for credit card processing.
Sure.
You know,
that would be correct.
Yeah, and
so
yeah.
yeah, you have a subject matter expert like myself or the partners that we have at Course Communications that can really help direct you, through those waters, so you don't make mistakes.
So talk about some of the things. What would you direct through? What are some of the pitfalls, that they...
Well, for example, in whatever compliance that you need to adhere to, there are penalties if you don't adhere to those compliances.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Those penalties can go from $1,000 a day in some cases, $100,000 a day.
Really?
To in the millions of dollars, depending on what kind of organization you are and what kind of compliance regulations you need to meet.
Right. Well, see, that's important for folks to know.
Sure.
And so the violations are just not recording, or what are some of the violations that they would look at?
Goodness, so let's talk about HIPAA. I
Yeah.
mean, your personal data.
Right,
Everybody is pretty familiar with that.
Right.
So in the healthcare field, I mean, if the data is given to someone incorrectly or it's mishandled, there's penalties that are associated with that. There's no such thing as a good surprise as far as your finances are concerned. I've seen people pay, a $10,000 fine in compliances. I've seen people pay $10 million fines in compliances, and there's no negotiation there.
Right, right. And so, and the same thing with kind of, seems like every week some big company saying that there was a breach in our system and that your social security number was given to, and that's obviously a violation, a finable violation.
Well, you have compliance and then you have security, which really go hand in hand.
Right.
So a partner that we do a lot of business with by Layer 8 Security, they can help you navigate both of those waters. Because now you're talking about two similar things, but they're different in the same regard.
Right.
So you're a business owner, you're not familiar with compliance, you're not familiar with security. You need to talk to us, the subject matter experts, to really help you navigate that so you can avoid the penalties and the headaches that go along with those two worlds.
Interesting. So how do the phone system, how have they changed? So we talk about dealing with compliance. So you have the old voice over IP system. What's new out there? Explain and kind of, what's different about what's out there, what's available now? It's faster? Is it, more access to internet? What's really different?
Sure. So when you talk about stepping into the cloud, you're really talking about taking your environment from at your physical location on premise to the cloud. And the cloud is really a server and what's called a data center or a co-location facility where your data is being protected and managed for you by someone else. So again, taking your data from on-premise to the cloud makes it more secure and easier to access from your cell phone, your tablet, your laptop, things of that nature. So you can do things at the speed of business now. As technology has changed, the speed of business has changed. If you're someone still trying to operate on a pen and paper and a calculator, you're probably not doing that much business. But if you're operating with a cell phone and a smartwatch and a laptop and you have, digital marketing in your storefronts and things of that nature, you're going to be at the top of that pack as far as a revenue generator.
Right. And so I imagine that the cloud has backup and other things.
So disaster recovery,
What is it? I've heard some people say that the cloud is like renting an apartment, and then at some point everybody's in the cloud, and all of a sudden the rents go up higher. What do you say to somebody who says, well, they're going to rip me off, they're going to raise on my rent, my cloud rent?
Well, if you navigate those waters by yourself, you could fall into some of the pitfalls that go with renting a cloud or getting into the cloud services. So again, having a subject matter expert like myself, we have over 1,000 partners, vendor partners that are vetted and already performing with other clients to really help you navigate those waters.
To deal with that. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so we're going to take a short break now, and we'll come back. I want to spend a little more time on, or some time on, cybersecurity.
Okay.
I mean, this is probably one of the biggest issues in the business world right now, and I wanted to kind of save that for the end.
Excellent.
Without a lot of time. Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
Welcome back to Family Business World. I have Aaron Andrews. We've had a really interesting discussion about technology. He's a digital transformation strategist. And for the second half of our show, I want to spend some time on cybersecurity. A number of family businesses that I know of have been held ransom because of cyber crime. Tell me about that, and it seems to be growing rampant. I hear something every day. Talk to me about that, and every business should be scared of that.
Every
right?
business, scared and educated.
And educated,
you know,
yeah.
you're talking about risk. When you have a business in today's marketplace, you are doing business on the internet. You're in the digital space,
right.
And there's a risk associated with doing business in general, as well as doing business on the internet. And you have some bad guys out there that want to have you not do business or have you pay to allow you to do business going forward. So that's known as ransomware. You know, you hear people talk about ransomware and malware and things of that nature. You know, we've had folks that have their data when a ransomware attack comes in, you can no longer do business.
So walk me through that in simple terms. So I'm going about my everyday business. I'm on my computers. I have my 50 employees. And then what's typically the first thing they do?
Well, typically your screen would lock up and you can't do business anymore.
Really?
If you have Excel sheets open and emails and things of that nature and files that you need to access, that stops.
It just locks it up and they get an email?
You get an email or you get a message that pops up that says, you know, please click here, and it brings you through a process and says, if you want to get your data back, it's pretty simple. If you want to get your data back, pay. Typically, it's anywhere. Typically, we see $100,000 to $250,000 is what the ransom is in Bitcoin or some kind of cryptocurrency, which is an online type of currency. It's not like cash,
and it's not traceable. So that's why everything's in Bitcoin, so they can't trace who's actually doing it.
Well, it's not traceable, and it's hard to get access to in some cases. You know, you're talking about you know, something that's new to all of us. You know, so there aren't banks that are funding a lot of banks, I should say, that are funding cryptocurrency. So one thing that you don't want to do if you're doing business on the internet, which pretty much all of us are, you don't want to let your IT team determine the amount of risk your company takes on. You know, you want to have a subject matter expert like myself that can bring in an organization like Layer 8 to really address your needs. If you've already had a breach, you know, we can navigate and investigate on how to correct it. It is correctable. You know, we always advise folks to not typically pay the ransom up front. You know, find out your options, and then, you know, navigate the best way to.
And I have heard stories, and that's why I wanted to have you on, is because I'm hearing more and more family business stories, and this is a crime. One where they did that, they blocked the computers and said, give us X thousands, I think it was like $125,000, and they were really forced to do it. And then the interesting thing is that the criminals actually helped them get their system back online. And you say, why would they do that? And so what they said is that they don't want to, having someone pay the ransom and then still not get their stuff back, because that's bad for their business. So they actually did this. They lost the money. But talk to me about that.
Depends on who you're dealing with. You know, we've seen everything from, hey, you know, they help the folks get their data back. We've seen them where they pay it and they just get, you know, they can go back to business as usual. We've seen them say, hey, look, if you pay $500,000, we'll open your stuff up. The folks pay it, and they still lock everything down, and they're out of business. I mean, literally every single day people are going out of business due to this. The question you need to ask yourself is, what will I do when a ransom attack occurs? And the thing of the matter is, Dale, is it already has occurred on most of us, you know, personal and business. It's just you don't know it yet. You know, so the big picture here is, how do you make yourself a smaller target? Because you can't get away from it. This is happening all the time if you're doing business on the internet.
So it's like the lottery. I mean, they just pick. How do they pick? How have you seen? How do they pick a company? You know.
Well, you know,
I've seen them all sizes. It's not like one particular size or one industry.
You know, typically they don't know what kind of company they're attacking.
Right,
You know, they just know that it was a successful attack.
Right,
And then here's the ransom. They don't know if you're a company that makes $5,000 a year or $5 billion a year. You know, they're just trying to get these attacks in and root your infrastructure.
Right.
So again, you know, having an organization like Layer 8 to help you would really be crucial. You know, and it's a cost-effective organization. It's not something people are saying sometimes, oh, you know, cybersecurity is out of our budget or we can't afford it.
Right.
Well, first of all, ask yourself, could you afford to not be doing business?
You can't afford not to do it. And so you gave your number before the break. Give it again. So the phone number, because there are folks out there watching the show who probably may be subject to this. So what's your number again?
Sure. Direct phone number is 484-772-6043. Aaron Andrews.
And Aaron Andrews, a digital transformation strategist. And I say that as, again, we want to be of service to the family business. This is family business world. Mm-hmm. This is a part of the family business world, which is an ugly part, but it's necessary. I still don't understand you know, why we can't trace these idiots that are around the world doing that. And I guess, you know, they know how to get around in the dark. What's the dark cloud? You know, what is that? We hear
dark
that,
or deep web.
The deep web and all that stuff. And you know, it's over my head. But what goes on there? And you know.
So, in having that's a much deeper conversation. But to keep it general, it's a way for, in some ways, criminal organizations, and the government has used the deep and dark web, you know, to do some of their things. Businesses use the deep and dark web to send and receive data. You know, so it's not, you know, just involved for criminal organizations. You know, other folks use it, but it doesn't have the same kind of regulations as the regular internet that we see every day, the Google and all that kind of good stuff. So it's something where they're operating through Tors and Onion browsers, and this is a lot of terminology that people may or may not know. But there's a high level of anonymity. And in doing that, you know, if you know what that word means, it's you can't be seen.
Yeah, nobody knows who it is. And,
exactly.
And now with blockchain, you know, that provides, you know, new kind of new security. Is that the kind of the whole blockchain?
For now, you know, I mean, you have blockchain, you have things like artificial intelligence. You know, computer learning is amazing. You know, right now, just to see what they're doing in that space, we can help with that as well. You know, we have organizations that we work with that engage in artificial intelligence and network architecture and, you know, machine learning, machine-to-machine communication. So it's exciting. If you are someone that likes talking technology, reach out. You know, I like to talk technology.
Well, and the other thing too that I want to do on the show is help family businesses understand that change is a constant now. That if you're not changing, if you're not ready to kind of adapt to the new environment with technology, with digital transformation, you're going to fall behind.
Correct.
And a lot of folks are just too busy. They just have too much. I mean, the margins are very slim on most family businesses.
Sure.
The regulations are very high, so they're busy doing their stuff. And a lot of things that seem basic to outsiders, they just don't have time to do. So they do need people who are experts in the various fields, and that's why we're trying to bring them to that. So if we bring it down to kind of the simplistic, kind of the digital transformation related to credit card exchanges, to phone systems, to computer systems, to security. That can all be tied together.
Sure,
that
and
can
internet
all be
services,
tied in,
absolutely.
All be tied together. Now you can see inside your store from your cell phone wherever you are, and you know, see if there are any challenges. Is there a way to use that for marketing? You know, kind of the digital. Do you kind of help people market, or is there a way to use that to get more business?
Absolutely. So I mean, that again could be another conversation in itself, talking about social media.
Right.
You know, I don't know a person out there that's not using social media to benefit their business today. I mean, in most cases with social media, there's a level of free marketing there. It's a lot of work on the back end, but it's free. You know, the Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter and things of that nature are just tremendous resources for us from a marketing perspective. So, you know, you have folks that used to spend $500,000 a year in marketing now. Maybe you have to spend $50,000 a year, you know, just because of social media. So definitely large tools. The way that we can help with digital environments is, again, digital signage. You know, everything is digital. How are you communicating with other devices? You know, everything, when you start talking about IoT, which is the Internet of Things, it's how are these devices all communicating and integrating with each other?
Is that what that means? I hear people talk about the Internet of Things. And what is that? It's really just...
The Internet of Things. So it's how these devices, your phone, your smartwatch, which I don't have one, but you have live on, are all connected. You know, how are they communicating to make your life easier? You know, down at the personal level, all the way up through your business. You know, how are you using, in some cases, smartwatches? Doctors are starting to use those to do diagnostics on your body, blood pressure, diabetes, heart attack, stroke. You know, to either be aware of that coming to you or prevent it. You know, it's just amazing, again, what the technology has enabled us to do.
And for family businesses, this is essential. And I've just I guess I've run across too many, especially recently, too many family businesses that really I ask them about even social media. Well, we don't have time to monitor even just a website, let alone, you know, social media. What about your phone system and your communication systems and all these things? And they're too busy. But now this whole cyber crime thing is, I think, waking people up to realize you can't put your head in the sand anymore.
No.
You've really got to begin to have a digital strategy going forward. So I think we're almost at the end of time. Is there anything else you'd like to kind of share with the family businesses out there?
Just businesses need to think of cybersecurity not just as a protection mechanism, but as part of your everyday business engagement. You know, the same way that you open the door to your storefront or to your business is the same way you need to think about your technology and your digital transformation and your security.
Excellent. Great way to end the show. Again, I'm Dale Caldwell. This is Family Business World with Aaron Andrews. Remember to check your technology. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Dale.